Welcome to the jungle! We've got Pokemon cards! I promise that's the last time I will sing. I'm lying. I will sing much through this series. Be ready. But if you haven't guessed by now, we are talking about AC/DC's favorite set, the Jungle Set, the second ever set released in Pokemon, released in June 16th of 1999. See, over the last 30 years, Pokemon has released a lot of sets, so we're going to go over the facts of this set, the price of the set historically, the prices of the set now, are things going to be worse or better in the future for this set, and kind of my thoughts on how things are with it currently in our current hype market. And then we're going to talk about oddities and really rare things in the set, such as errors and misprints that are really cool and to keep an eye out for. So this is the Jungle Set, and unlike now, where they're releasing a set every frickin' 3 days, it seems like, good gosh, Pokemon, calm down! Back in the day, sets were released very, very staggered between, so you had a lot of times for this. They had multiple print runs for most of these sets. Not saying other sets now don't, but they have a little bit less. And here are the basic facts of this set. It was the second set ever released. It has 16 holofoils, 16 rares, but it only has 64 cards in it. This would be considered a mini set by today's standards. Here is the card list. Ignore the prices on this website. It's not accurate at all whatsoever, but I just like this site because, you know, it has a nice high quality image of all the different cards. But that's what it did. It repeats the rares with the holofoils, so obviously the rares and the holofoils are a 1-to-1. Unlike the base set, though, it did not have many trainer cards. It only had one trainer card, and it had no rare trainers in this set. Now, just like base set, it had a 1 in 3 to about 1 in 4 rarity of pulling a holofoil out of a pack. Meaning that if you opened up a booster box, you could get quite a few of these holofoils and damn near complete the set out of a single booster box. Man, I miss those days. But unlike base set, there is no Shadowless in that. Shadowless is unique just to base set. It was a transitionary period from the first editions to the Unlimiteds. This one just has first editions and Unlimiteds. There are no Shadowless in this, where they have a Shadowless border. Now, I'm sure you could guess what the top cards are. Obviously, you got your Evolutions here, and you've got Snorlax. But what's very interesting right now is the Pidgeot is actually in number 5, just barely beating out Scyther. These are just average prices. Remember, vintage cards are going to be priced heavily off of condition, so to take all this with a grain of salt. But back in the day, the Pidgeot here was one of the least desirable cards in the set, which is funny because it was one of my all-time favorite holofoils. This picture really doesn't do it justice. It's got a lot of beautiful colors in the background, and the Pidgeot looks just so freaking fierce. It almost looks like a different Pokemon compared to the Pidgeot of nowadays. Now, as I told you guys, and as you know, if you've been paying attention to Pokemon for any length of time over the past few months, we are back into a huge, massive hype cycle. So when you look at these cards, when you select any of them, and you go down to their graphs, they almost all look like this, with most of these cards doubling or tripling over the past year. And just like anything vintage, the first editions are going to be more expensive than the Unlimiteds, except in very rare niche cases. Now, before we get into the errors and misprints that I think are really cool, there are a lot from this era. We can't possibly cover them all, but we're going to cover the common ones, some of the more uncommon ones, and some really rare ones that are the true grails of the set. But before we get into that, I have to tell you my top 5. Obviously, Pidgeot's in the top 5. I love this freaking card. People hated it back in the day. Hold on, I gotta get out of here so you can actually see its glory. There we go. Beautiful, beautiful freaking card. Next up, I gotta give it to Butterfree. I mean, it doesn't get more majestic than this. This is truly a piece of art. I love this freaking card. I gotta give Cubone a spot in the top 5. I mean, it doesn't get more sad than this card. This is the iconic Cubone card. And probably the most favorite Cubone card for a lot of Cubone fans. Next up is probably going to be Rhyhorn. Yeah, that's right. I like a lot of the uncommons and commons for this. Rhyhorn was one of my all-time favorite because I just like dinosaur-looking anything. And last but not least, I have to give it to the Flareon. The holofoil for this one looks really, really good. You've got purples, you've got greens, you've got bright reds. The colors really pop on this card, and the fact that the tail looks like it's fire, fire little pieces coming off is just absolutely gorgeous. Now, common errors and misprints you will find with this set, along with uncommon and rare ones. First off are the no symbol errors. These are actually fairly common, and you're really only going to see this with the holofoils. Back in the day, there were holofoil sheets that were printed that just had no jungle symbol on them, and people thought that these were fake. A lot of people destroyed these cards, got rid of these cards, but they are genuine jungle cards. They just don't have the symbol in the corner. I'll show you an example here of a Pidgeot. You'll notice there's no jungle symbol off to the right here. The next one that you'll find that is very common is the Butterfree D error. This one is very, very common. It's a nice little card. I think the guy who's got this priced at $4,800 off his rocker. But basically, the first edition thing has a little bit of a line on it, making it into a D rather than just a 1. Next up is a card that's actually pretty hard to find nowadays. It used to be more common back in the day. Is the slash error pincer here. It's also called a scratch error. It's basically where there was a indent over the first edition symbol right there, causing a weird little look on it. What's funny is when this card was initially sent to PSA back in the day, people considered it damage, and then they actually found it that it was a factory error, and then they started grading it as 10s with the factory error. And I believe newer slabs with PSA actually recognize this error. Don't quote me on that. Next up, let's talk about a Grail. Now, this card might be confusing you because you're sitting here going, well, wait a minute, that's just the Ivy Pikachu. That's just a Black Star promo. Wrong. This is one of the most unique cards in Pokemon. It is actually a jungle card. This card came out of jungle packs, primarily in Europe, because Black Star promos aren't supposed to have a first edition symbol. Basically, they took the entire card from the Ivy Pikachu line and replaced the Jungle Pikachu with this. So you could find this in packs. These things are ridiculously expensive. I don't know if it's $250,000 expensive. You know, that, I mean, who knows now? The frickin' Black Label Bubble Mew sold for almost that much, so who frickin' knows? But these are very rare. If you ever find these, they are kind of a grail for the Pokemon Jungle set. But if you can't find that and you can't afford it, there is a much cheaper option that is way more common. I've got like 4 of these bad boys. I actually pulled a couple out of some packs a little while ago. But it's the first edition Error Electrode, where they have the base set artwork for the Electrode here. Even though it's got a jungle symbol and it's got the rarity here for the jungle set. Pokemon back in the day was the Wild West. There's so many crazy errors and misprints. It's a surprise any of the frickin' cards came off the factory like normal. But yeah, this thing's like a $20 to $30 card. I think some of the PSA 10 ones are like really expensive. I don't know if PSA fully recognizes this as an error, but this is something you could find hanging out in a, you know, bulk binder or, you know, maybe a top loader binder or some vintage stuff. It's not super expensive and it's a cool error. Next up is probably another Grail card when it comes to jungle, and that's the Fruit Roll-Ups Gold Border Meowth. PSA 9s, 8s, 7s, you know, ungraded copies of this are really not that expensive, and there's a reason why. Back in the day when they did the Fruit Roll-Ups promotion for this, they just threw this card in the Fruit Roll-Ups box, meaning they all got beat to absolute hell. So if you ever find a near perfect condition copy of this card that could get a PSA 10, you have found a Grail of Grails, because they are so hard to find in good condition. But it's also one of the most unique cards in Pokemon history because it has a gold border. There are not many cards that got gold border treatments. And because of this, a lot of people thought it was fake back in the day who weren't around for the Fruit Roll-Ups promotion, didn't remember this card. So a lot of them probably got destroyed back in the day or thrown out because people thought it was fake, but it was actually a genuine freaking card. Next up is an error that is unique only to Australia. So this is what a typical jungle pack looks like. You've probably seen these before. Let's move myself back up there again. This is what they look like. You got the yellow text, you got the green, you got these 3 Pokemon. That's all fine and dandy. But in Australia, they got some pretty wild stuff here. They got red text jungle things, and yes, it did apply to other products outside of the packs. It did apply to the theme decks and the booster boxes. These are pretty rare to find nowadays in general. A lot of people thought these were knockoffs, but they just came out of Australia for whatever reason. Packs that were shipped to Australia just had the red text. And that's pretty much the Jungle set in a nutshell. Now, what do I think this set will do in the future? Right now we're in a hype period and a lot of people are spending a lot of money on different things. But I still don't think a lot of these cards are overpriced right now because of what they've done in the past. So back in 2021, 2022, and late 2020, a lot of vintage stuff went through the frickin' roof. And the average price of these Snorlax cards here for the first editions was something like damn near $600 or $700. So while these have exploded, while all their graphs look like this right now, the reality is they still haven't recaptured some of those insane prices during the first big boom. So I would say that most of them are fairly affordable and probably could have some major jumps if people decide to get on another vintage kick like they did back in the day. And obviously your PSA 10s for anything, whether it's errors, unlimiteds, different things like that, are pretty much always going to be pricey. So look for cheaper options. Look for CGC graded cards. There are so many CGC versions of these that are like half the price. Remember, in a hype market, you don't have to spend top dollar. Explore your options. Because the reality is, this is basically a mini set where you could get like 12 holofoils out of a booster box out of 16. And I'm not even exaggerating. So a lot of these cards don't really have any rarity outside of the errors and the misprints. So that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think. Next we'll cover the Fossil set. And there should be other videos here somewhere. I'm trying to do more stuff on YouTube. I just don't do YouTube enough. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, we're about to hit 100K on TikTok. So I don't know, maybe you should go over there and follow, because that's a big milestone for me. Peace out, you goofballs.